Hello, everybody. Welcome to Everybody Matters, our family and friends edition. I'm Jill Catherine, the host of your chat, and I'm very thankful to be here today and to have an opportunity to talk to you about some tips and insights and strategies on how to support your loved one who's going through recovery and hopefully is connected to services. On our YouTube page, we have a number of, our YouTube page of Everybody Matters, we have a number of videos for family and friends that really speak to Eating Disorder 101 about the importance of a treatment team, and then more specifics about signs and symptoms and a variety of different things. And so please always feel free to take a look of what's already available to you if this is your first time tuning in or you've been here before. Because as we start to learn, this recovery process and supporting a loved one is multi-layers, and you go through different cycles and different stages. And so all of your situations are unique and you're all in different stages. So I encourage you to, if what we talk about today doesn't resonate with you, there could be a conversation done another time that does. And if it does resonate with you today, there can be something that can help you maybe tomorrow. Every day is different, and I get that, and I understand that. So that's why we talk about a wide range of topics. So what I'd like to do is, as I share each month now, I give you some insight into, we have a weekly chat every week for those who are in recovery. And I like to give you insights into what those conversations are like and what they're about, and the barriers that we run into in the recovery process and the stages that we go through ourselves. So to give you more of an insight into what it's like for those of us who are going through it. And I share this with you in a very generalized way because, again, everyone's story is unique. Everyone's needs are different. But I do believe that we all are connected in some way. And even though our stories are all unique, we all have common threads. And so the things that we're going to talk about today and every month, I invite you just to, take what resonates with you, leave the rest, but also see if you can just allow, it to make sense for you in whatever your situation is, whatever that common thread is. Because there's going to be some component, right, that each person can relate to. That's why it can be very effective for those in recovery to attend support groups and to be around people who get it, because we do go through a common experience. So also, the information I share has a lot to do, will always play a role in how you can approach your loved one. And this disease by nature requires sometimes family and friends to take a look at themselves. And for us to recover, we'd have to do that within ourselves. We don't have control about what your truths are and how you think, what your beliefs are. But one of my goals in this is to always just give you some tips on maybe a way that questions you could ask yourself in a way that you can support your loved one. So there's a couple things I want to talk about. One particularly, we'll talk about two things. One is, that's been really big for us in our chats, is many times, for us, that when we're struggling with this disease and in our recovery process, there's this, one of the core issues is that we, meaning those who are struggling, have bought into some belief that life is supposed to feel good all the time. that it's supposed, we believe somewhere in us that it's supposed to feel good all the time. And when it doesn't, we don't know what to do. We don't know how to handle it, and we don't have the skills on how to handle it. And then we also, to prevent it, we try to control everything, situation, and scenario in our life, so we don't ever have to not feel good. That's the quest for perfection. If we're perfect, there's this disillusioned belief that perfection equals feeling good all the time because it's perfect, right? So it's a positive state, so there's never a not feeling good. We don't know how to handle that. Again, I'm speaking very generally, right? But we don't know how to handle that. We don't know how to not feel good. We think something's wrong. We think we got to fix something. There's something wrong with us. If we're not feeling good, we have to fix something. And we might not be feeling good because someone called us a name. We might not be feeling good because we don't look like the image. We don't look like the person that we think we're supposed to look like in order for someone to be attracted to us. Right? Or we don't feel like we get affection from others because we're not meeting a certain image. And so this belief that we have that, and we don't even know we have this. So here's an insider tip. We don't even know we have this, but somewhere, somehow, in our subconscious, we think it's supposed to feel good. That we're always supposed to feel good. So we're not really learning and being trained on how to deal with what's real. And here's what's real. Life does not feel good all the time. It's inherently impossible, right? You cannot be in life and not experience discomfort. It is just impossible. There is death. We deal with loss. We deal with sadness. We deal with crisis. I mean, look what's happening in our world today. As I'm on this chat, there's these horrible fires happening in California. Horrible families are losing, neighborhoods are being burned up. So life is not it's just a happy place. We can feel happy in life, but it's not what being in the world is. There's discomfort that we're going to have to feel, and there's a lot of comfort we get to feel and a lot of joy. The issue is there's somewhere, somehow, we don't get that. And if we can start to learn that, oh, wait a minute, reorient ourselves into, this is really life, okay? It's not this fairy tale. It's not this fantasy, and that's what we get confused by. We're lost in believing into some fantasy of what life is supposed to be like us. And we see that fantasy in movies, and we see that fantasy on Instagram, and we see that fantasy in images. And it's very confusing to the brain. Very confusing to the brain. I'll give you one example. Our location out in Arizona, and one of our providers out there been working with a young person who is struggling with an eating disorder, and there was nothing particularly, she felt like things were good in her life, no particular inciting incident, except for every night before this person would go to bed, a young woman, she would look through Instagram and look through this fitness imagery and then every night look at this imagery before she went to sleep, and little by little plan affecting her mental state psychologically. You know, this is just science, right? You take in information, you take in imagery, we take in information, and it doesn't just fall on deaf ears, right? Where a lot is moving through us all the time, and little by little, it's just started planting the seeds, and this slow depression started to build, this slow not feeling good enough, feeling can't meet certain expectations, and this depression started to come, and this lack of self-esteem started to be created, right? So, you know, eating disorders are multi-level psychological, emotional, physical, spiritual disease and challenge. And so, but my point is that taking a step back and just circling back to really what this comes to is this life entry into thinking it's supposed to feel good and not having the life skills to be with uncomfortable emotion. A lot of times, most of the times that is the issue. So how you can support your loved one is taking a look at your family unit, taking a look at your friend dynamic. Do you tend to stuff uncomfortable things under the rug? Do we always try to put on a happy face? Do we always try to, make everybody happy? Do we avoid conflict all the time? Do we, always try to just stuff things away, stuff the uncomfortable things away and not deal with them? And I'm asking you to ask yourself these questions, not saying that you're wrong or that you're bad, that you've done that. It's a normal thing that a lot of us do. And just because we do that doesn't mean there's not an opportunity to say, okay, well, maybe I can find another way. Maybe I can, learn, we can learn how to acknowledge these emotions without trying to push them away. We can just be with them. We can start to understand that they're just a feeling, and that they will pass if we allow ourselves to feel that way. So asking yourself these questions, and even in your friend dynamic, is it difficult for you to have a conversation that doesn't always feel good? I'm certainly not suggesting that we don't want to. I mean, my whole approach to life is being thankful and seeing the positive things in your life and being thankful for what's in your life. So it's not that's not what we're saying, but being thankful and seeing the positive things in your life, you're able to do that by being honest and not afraid of feeling uncomfortable and feeling sad and feeling like you disappointed people, and understanding that the expectations that maybe we had in this fantasy that we had isn't really something that's attainable. And so that's been a really important conversation for us as those in recovery, is to start to say, we have to get clear on what life is about. Life is about experiencing this whole range of emotions, and you cannot avoid it. And our attempt to avoid it is what will keep us in this disease. The next step, though, is we don't know how to deal with it. And that's why the treatment team is so important. It's why it's so important that your loved one gets support and learns skills and tools on how to deal with this. And you yourself, if you feel like you've been, creating a dynamic and a culture in your household that is about avoiding this discomfort, it's an opportunity for you to get your own support and training and learning how to be able to be honest and confront things that are happening without having to run in the other direction and just avoid like it's not happening. So that's a big one for us. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is a big thing is for us in the recovery process, we have to start waking up into some beliefs that we've been believing, that we've had, that are not in our best interests, that don't support us. And we have to start getting honest with those beliefs. And honest in the sense that we have to ask ourselves, what believing that has taken away from us? So, for example, if a person in our group said that she's believed that if her body changes, if she doesn't look a certain way, and meet this expectation of an image, she's not good enough. That she's not enough. So this belief that if she doesn't look a certain way, then she is not enough. Every single one of us come into the world the same way. Where we land in the world is different, but we all come in the same way. And each of us has the same value of worthiness than anyone else. Now, as a society, right, we put status on things, and we'll start to make judgments and of what's we start to make class systems and values of what's worthy. And we start to put like this this value system based on different societal norms and values, and which don't have anything to really do on who's worthy and who's not, right? We all, no matter who you are in this world, no one's better than anybody else. But, so that's a limiting belief this person has had, and many of us have had. If I don't look a certain way, I'm not enough. If I don't act a certain way, I won't be loved. If I don't, and then we don't know how to feel with that feeling of, if I'm not loved, then we're scared. And then we don't, because that goes back to the first thing, is that we've somehow believed that we're supposed to feel good all the time, right? So we don't have those life skills. So by us starting to articulate and discover what are some of our limiting beliefs, we then ask ourselves, what has that taken from us? How has that limited our life by believing that? What have we not done because we've believed that? And it's important for us to ask those questions. And I'm sharing that with you because this is something, depending on the stage of recovery, you can start to bring up with your loved one, is in helping them to ask those questions, and you asking those questions yourself. And so by us asking those questions, what is it taken from us? What is the disorder taken from us? It can start to, but more specifically, what did we believe and how has that stopped us? It can start to fuel some anger. And that's something we have to learn to be comfortable with. It's not something that we want to spew and cause harm to others with our anger. No, but that is something to be angry about, that we believe that if we don't look a certain way or act a certain way or fit into a certain box, that we're not worthy. That is something to get angry about, because we are all worthy, each one of us. And it's your loved one is in this state of self-discovery and self-esteem building and self-efficacy, that they're building up their a sense of self-trust, and it's really important in this process for all of us to have an independent and an independent life that feels like that we have meaning and fulfillment. So it's okay to be angry. It's good to be angry. That's a natural, normal feeling to have when we start to discover these beliefs. And you can support your loved one in that. You can help them in that exercise to discover what that is by just talking about in general, having conversations with each other about, what they have believed that they didn't even know. And just like the first thing, we don't even know that in our subconscious is a seed planted that life is supposed to feel good. We don't even know really that we're believing these things about ourselves. And not initially, but in the recovery process, this is the stuff we have to start to wake up to. And then as we start to wake up to that, we can get honest with ourselves. We can get angry about that, of what it's taken from us. And then we can take our power back and say, okay, what can I do? What can I do now? And start to learn those skills. So I share this with you as always to let it speak to you how that then can move you in your conversations with your loved one, how that could shape, some of the things that you start to, open up to with one another. We need, as those in this process of recovery, we need support. We need mentors. We need real people talking to us about real stuff. We need to start shattering this illusion, this fantasy, and start getting really honest. And when we shatter this illusion and fantasy, we're not shattering it in the sense of doom and gloom. It's quite the opposite, because that fantasy is sucking our joy, our inspiration, our courage, our creativity. We're not feeling that. We're feeling lack. We're feeling like we're not enough. We're feeling like life is awful. We're depressed. We're suicidal. It's not good. It takes our mental state another way. So by, addressing these things and shattering that fantasy and starting to talk about how we limit ourselves, and we start to feel empowered. We start to feel like we can be who we are. We can be ourselves. We can be ourselves, and we can start to, live the life we want to live. So there's real value in understanding this process. There's real value for you to understand this process for us, because we need support. We need people who don't reflect more limitation back on us. Like, no, you can't do anything. No, you have to be this way. No, we need supportive people saying, okay, well, be yourself. Do what feels different. It's okay to be unique. We need unique. We need you. You exist in uniqueness. You can't have uniqueness without you. We need that. We need coaches and cheerleaders. And whether or not it's how you want to approach your life, that's your choice. But here's what's real for us. So I really appreciate you tuning in and getting some insight. And I thank you for doing that. I thank you for those of us who have struggled, because we need support. We'll see you next month.